Can you see the screen? Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we are going to look at a number of theories of business ethics and Indian ethical traditions. These are the two topics that we have left in the unit one, and we are going to complete these two topics. Fine. That concepts of business ethics, and I think somebody was let me join him. Okay. So yes. So uh, we will see. Right, that what are the theories? Though we already touched upon a number of theories in the earlier class, in the previous class, that there are a number of theories, there are a number of theoretical perspectives through which we can look at ethics and how ethics can be useful. Fine. Now, we will see some concepts of business ethics and Indian ethical traditions. Well, I will come to this, the second part, Indian ethical traditions, later on. Let's start the theoretical section. Now, as you see in the screen, that there are a number of normative theories of ethics. Okay, we already discussed the first point, that is about egoism, right? And that the concept of egoism has been propounded by two thinkers. There are many thinkers, but these two thinkers are one of the proponents of this concept, egoism. One is Jeremy Bentham, another is John Stuart Mill. If anybody or some of you are interested to read more about it, you can easily visit Google and look at Jeremy Bentham or John Stuart Mill. Well, open the Wikipedia page and you can get much more knowledge about their works. Okay, so we already touched upon egoism. How is ego important? Is ego positive? Is ego negative? What are the impacts of ego? What is psychological ego? How much psychological ego is beneficial? What is the extent in which psychological ego starts hampering the human psyche? These are the things that we have discussed in terms of lecture and also in terms of some opinions from all of you, some of you, not all of you. Okay, so that was the part of egoism. Now the next is utilitarianism. This is also we discussed in the previous class, that utilitarian, uh, making use of something for some benefit, making use of something for some interest. Suppose you have money, how do you make use of it? You can invest in various channels in the financial, different financial institutions, maybe in different banks. You can invest your balance, you can double it, you can redouble it, you can monthly double it, you can fix your deposit at different terms, at different schemes. So you are utilizing your balance. So at the same time, uh, if you have knowledge, if you have books, if you have culture, make use of your culture, make use of your knowledge. If you are aware of some knowledge, try to use that knowledge in your work or sometimes in others' work. That will lead to a benefit, that can lead to the benefit for the individual. that can lead to the benefit for the others, that can lead to the benefit for the society in large. Okay, so utilitarianism. But what is the basic idea of utilitarianism? The very basic idea of utilitarianism is that yes, uh, make the most benefit for yourself, but while making benefit for yourself, for your individual interest, for your individual profit, you should be aware of not causing any harm to other individuals. Okay, so whatever you do, you need to have a sense of goodwill with you. This is what Immanuel Kant says, that you need to have a sense of goodwill. There should not be any kind of evil intention. Okay, there should not be any kind of bad treachery or evil intention. Okay, all magic is commendable, all magic is expected in our life, but those magic should be good. Black magic, if you heard about it, then it is not at all uh, coming from goodwill, it is coming from bad way, you can say. So here should be the goodwill, which should be the force, which should be the life force, the impetus to arrive at the desired outcome. Okay, so goodwill has to be there. Doesn't matter how much you make money, doesn't matter how much you make use of many things in your life. It can be your phone, it can be your Android phone, it can be your iPhone, it can be your your gadgets, your emotions, your culture, your knowledge, your ideas, your relationship. It can be anything and everything. You can make use of it, but it should not cause harm to you as well as to others. Then that utility is productive for the society at large. Okay, so that was the idea of utilitarianism. Next, the point that comes here, and from this position we will continue today's lecture. That is the gap between ethics and business ethics, isn't it? Whenever people listens to these sort of boring, bombastic words, ethics, morality, these words always, drop us to sleep, isn't it? But if we look at ethics in terms of business, then business is not at all boring. Business is very much competitive. Business is very much engaging. Then we have to find out the gap between pure ethics and business ethics. Ethics, lots of rules, lots of moral principles from religion, from culture, from family, from nation, lots of rules talk about ethics. But if you apply ethics in business sphere, if you apply ethics in the workplace, then what role, what shape it takes, what shape ethic becomes. Okay, so we have to find the gap. If we apply, there are many examples when we will talk about Indian ethical traditions. We will be giving, the examples of, ancient Indian examples like Bhagavad Gita and many others, and their ethics is there. There is chapter after chapter after chapter after chapter of ethics. Okay, and people may drop to sleep listening to those chapters of ethics, but when those chapters are applied in business sphere, when those chapters are applied in day to day affairs of life, then the color of ethics will change, and definitely it will look very, very applicable to every moment of our life. Okay, so that gap we have to find out. Okay, so ethics is everywhere. Ethics is not just a separate field of study, ethics is everywhere. That's why ethics has jumped on your syllabus, though you apparently do not belong to the discipline of ethics, isn't it? So, ethics in engineering. Next point, theories of business ethics. Now there are many, many theories, and we will take up these three theories which are very important for your exam. One is stockholder theory, next is stakeholder theory, and third is social contract theory. Number one is the stockholder theory. Now, the stockholder theory is the oldest and it has fallen into disrepute nowadays. It doesn't work anymore. It didn't last long actually due to many political and corporate reasons. Fiduciary relationship. Fiduciary means a kind of relationship between trustee and beneficiary. What kind of relation? Suppose you are a beneficiary and there is another party called as trustee. So, what kind of a relationship, business relationship you have? What kind of maintenance of the business relationship you have? How frequent both of you continue the business transaction? Okay, so those business intimacy is what we may call a fiduciary relationship between trustee and beneficiary. Okay, and this fiduciary relationship is very much shown in this theory, the stockholder theory. Okay, and the stockholder theory, is a it was present many years back. It was, little bit domineering kind of corporate management, that master will know everything and the employees and other members, other staff remain unpredictable about future results. Okay, so this, that you can say that it's a kind of exploitative relationship between the employer and the employees. Okay, and this stockholder relationship could not last long, and it has fallen into disrepute by many international countries, by many international corporate agencies. Okay, and to a number of critics, this theory is called an unwarranted hangover from the bad old days of capitalism. You can say, the stockholder theory is the offspring of capitalism of in bad old days, and this theory doesn't last long, and this theory doesn't work anymore. But still, as a student of ethics, we should know about this type of theory. Next is the stakeholder theory, which over the past 3 decades or so has gained widespread acceptance among the business ethics community. We will look at it in detail in the next slide. Also, the third one, the social contract theory, which has emerged as a strong contender to the stakeholder theory, and it also occupies a brilliant position. Okay, so we will see one by one in detail regarding these theory. Okay, so the first one, the stockholder theory. The stockholder theory expresses the business relationship between the owner and their agents, who are the managers running the day to day business of the company. Okay, and as I told you just earlier, the owners will know everything. The agents never knows about the near future results. They don't know about the approximate benefit that they may get in future. They know nothing about it. Okay, so they used to know nothing about it. Yeah, so that's why, this stockholder theory doesn't work anymore. As per this theory, businesses are merely arrangements. in which one group of people, namely the shareholders, advance capital to another group, namely the managers, to realize certain ends beneficial to them. So, what is most important in this second point is that the agents will act as shareholders. They will hold the share, each share of each unit of each department. Okay, but the most problematic aspect of this business relationship is that those agents we never knows about the expected benefits in future. Okay, so that's why this kind of unequal, exploitative relationship, business relationship, falls into disrepute. Third point, the managers are empowered to manage the capital advanced by the shareholders and are duty bound by their agents' relationship to carry on the business exclusively for the purpose outlined by their principles. Okay, so this fiduciary relationship I told you, trustee and you know beneficiary business relationship. This fiduciary relationship binds managers not to spend the available resources on any activity without the authorization from their owners, regardless of any societal benefits. Okay, that could be accrued by doing so. So that was the very idea that very nature of this stockholder theory is exploitative. Managers have no option but to follow the dictates of their masters. If the stockholders vote by a majority that their company should not produce any obnoxious product matlab defect product, bad, yes, defect product, which in the perception of the manager would be a profitable business proposition. Okay, so again the same thing comes back, that it's a very exploitative relationship and the managers have to follow the dictates of their masters, but those little shareholder or managers in this position do not know, they used to know nothing about the benefits of the results. Okay, that's why this theory didn't last long. Now coming to the next theory, this is the stakeholder. Okay, first one is the stockholder and the second one is the stakeholder. Now, what does this talk about? The stakeholder is defined as anyone who has a claim or stake in a firm. In a wider sense, a stakeholder will mean any individual or group who can affect or is affected by the corporation. Anybody can be a stakeholder if that person can affect the individual, any individual or a group of persons, or the person is affected himself or herself by uh, the corporation. Okay, so that person can be termed as the stakeholder. A manager's fundamental obligation is not to maximize the firm's profitability but to ensure its very survival by balancing the conflicting claims of its multiple stakeholders. Now, what is the job of the stakeholder? Now, the job of the stakeholder is to make a balance of multiple conflicting claims coming from different, agents. उसको बैलेंस करना स्टेक का काम होता है, right? In the assessment of Clive Smallman, the stakeholder model also stands accused of opening up a path to corruption and chaos. Now, even this theory, even this stakeholder is under criticism. Okay, all these data I have taken from AC Ferrando book. You must look at that book, and there are more detail about this theory. You should read them and understand in detail. Okay, so this is the quotation I also have taken from that book itself. That Clive Smallman, what he says that the stakeholder model also stands accused of opening up a path to corruption and chaos, since it offers agents the opportunity to divert wealth away from shareholders to others. Because there are many agents, what should I say, creeping in all the corporate sectors, right? They are very skilled to smell out the profit in each and every corner of individual pockets. Okay, so that's why corruption springs up and it increases. It discourages the shareholders, the stakeholders to make a high increase about this issue, about this policy. That's why it also has fallen into disrepute and put into criticism. That's what is written in these lines. Now, the last point, thus the stakeholder model of corporate governance leads to corrupt practices because people are creeping in the hands of managements with a wide option and also to chaos. So it leads to problems. It leads to corporate corruptions. Okay, that's why so many problems has arise. Next is the social contract theory. Now, this social contract theory stresses that all businessmen are ethically duty bound to increase the welfare of the society by catering to the needs of the consumers and employees without in any way endangering the principles of natural justice. So, what do you mean by this? Social contract theory is ethical in its duty. It is dedicated to the increase of the welfare of the society. It takes care of the needs of the consumers and the employees. But while taking care of the needs of the consumers and employees, they still follow the principles. They do not go beyond the principle. Okay, this social contract theory is based on the principle of social contract. Even the name itself has got a punch, has got a striking factor, that is contract. Okay, contract is a kind of business handshake in the form of papers, uh, wherein it is assumed that there is an implicit agreement between the society and any created entity such as business unit. Okay, so this is what it served to the society. Now, this particular theory has come from different political philosophical thinkers like Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes is one of the important theorists of economy. John Locke. John Locke, there he wrote an essay. You can read the essay if you find time. The name of the essay is An Essay Concerning Human Understanding. An essay concerning human understanding. Then there is another Jean-Jacques Rousseau. All these political philosophers tried to find an answer to hypothetical situation. So see what is happening over here. So what is happening? If ethics is there, then that theory sustains. If there is a lack of ethics in any business sphere, that that business theory falls down, isn't it? So this is what we need to keep in mind. So look how important the role of ethics in business sphere. Okay, so this is the part of theories, business ethics. This is the part that you have to keep in mind. It may sound a little bit unattractive, but still you have to keep in mind. And the more you will go through the detail through the book by A.C. Ferrando, and you will get to know much better. Okay, and due to some paucity of time, I am speaking skipping a little bit, and because we have to make the completion of the unit 1 by today itself. So that was the part, but I tried to simplify those theories, right? That stockholder theory, stakeholder theory, and social contract theory. You need to know the difference between the three. Okay, now so that was the part in a role of ethics in business sphere. Now the last topic of the unit 1 is, as you see in the screen, that is Indian ethical traditions. Now, as you know, that India has rich ethical traditions, isn't it? And it can be seen in different multiple scriptures of the land, such as Gita, Upanishads, and Quran, Bible, Vishnu Puran. Okay, many religious scriptures of different mm, backgrounds, religion, spiritual backgrounds. Okay, so it has a rich ethical tradition, isn't it? If we look at Hindu scriptures, speak of the speaks of the performance of right duty at the right time in the right manner. Okay, but how should you eat? How should you sleep? How should you work? Each and every aspect of human life, all the walks of life, has been penned down in the religious scriptures of different backgrounds. Okay, not necessarily Hindu, but also in many other equal religious backgrounds. Okay, the rich Indian tradition has always emphasized the dignity of human life and right to live in a respectful and peaceful manner. Okay, so it talks about the importance, the pertinence of human life, the value of human life. Okay, in ancient Indian tradition, it was ethical that we should value the importance, we should value the human life. And now in the second, after the second decade of 21st century, we value also the human resource. We just use different word, different exam, a different expression, but the content of the meaning remains the same. In the earlier times, ancient people used to say that human life, value of human life, the body of life, the the life in the human being should be preserved. And the same thing also in today. We should use, we should maximize the human resource, each and everyone, all of you. Okay, all of you are human resource, including me, including myself. Okay, all of us are human resource. You can use yourself, you can make use of yourself, you can apply utilitarian approach to your life. Okay, and that utilitarian approach to your life will lead to a certain degree of your desired outcome. Okay, and we don't have to find out any modern guideline to know about these things. We have many books, as I already mentioned, like Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Bible, Quran, and many others. Okay, so the rich values that once prevailed in India are now disappearing from the mainstream. Yes, it is quite disappearing. Indian traditions are copied and followed by Western countries in their social welfare and organizational conduct. You know, the more we indigenize Western culture, the more we call ourselves modern. Okay, suppose you don't know how to use Facebook, then you are not modern. Suppose you don't know how to use Insta, then you are not modern. Suppose you don't know how to use an iPhone, then you are not modern. But what we call as modern is not modern, it's just Western, isn't it? Modernity is different. Western, that comes from Europe and USA, from England and USA. Okay, so what we call as modern is not modern, rather, it is just a Xerox copy of Western culture. It does not certify our modernity. Fine. Now, moving ahead, if we take up some very few examples which justify richness in our tradition. Many examples can be picked up. You can also think on your own. Definitely, after I think this is the last. Yes, just after two slides, I will ask you, and you can easily give many other examples. Let me complete these ones. So, the first one is Gandhian principles. Okay, MK Gandhi. Everybody unfailingly knows him. Apart from different political controversies, I only am talking about the contribution that he has served. Okay, that is the trusteeship of ethics, non-violent movement. Okay, so these are the power, isn't it? These are the powers of individual identity of human resource. Okay, and now look at the word trusteeship of ethics. Okay, at Gandhi's time, there was no such thing so far, I guess. That trustee, the kind of what this position was not there in the times of Gandhi, isn't it? Now we have trustee, beneficiary, third party, many uh, financial terminology has been crept in our day-to-day affairs of life. So trusteeship of ethics should be there, and you can also say that Gandhian principle and Kantian principle share some common in them, because Kant talks about goodwill, Kant talks about utility of aspects of life. Okay, so Kantian and Gandhian, these principles sometimes, if not always, run hand in hand. Next point is righteousness as the way in the Gita, how moral values and ethics can be incorporated in one's work life. Okay, so many moral values, many preachings, many duties, many rules, many rights, many wrongs have been engraved in the book called Epic Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, not the Epic. In the religious book called the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, that is one of the religious epics. Uh, and I quoted this line. This line has been taken from fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita is as follows that it says yada yada hi dharmasva glanirvavati bharata. You know these lines. Abhyuthana dharmasva tadatmananam srijanayam paritranay sadhumanam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma sasthapanarthaya sambhavani yuga yuga. So these are the lines that has been uttered. Okay, so what does it say? Well, it says that whenever and wherever there is decline of dharma, and ascendance of Adhan, then the Sion of the Bharat race I manifest. Here I is the God, myself in a body. So I will reincarnate himself, and I will reside in a human body and will settle the peace. Okay. This very Indian mythology also alludes to Christian mythology. If I try to remember, in the book of Revelation, in the New Testament of Bible, there was Saint John, and Saint John envisions in his dream Jesus Christ, and Saint John I came to realize that Jesus Christ has come in my dream, and he says that I am the Alpha, I am the Omega. Uh, mm, I will reincarnate himself after 2000 years. It was in the biblical doctrine that each and every after 2000 years I will come and settle the peace in the human earth. Okay, so this is a biblical doctrine. So, and in other, I don't know other scriptures, but also it all alludes to many other religious doctrines that also talk about the same uh, reincarnation and reincarnation of God and restoration of peace of mankind. Okay, so this is the very idea. What does it say? It talks about the rich ethical tradition. Ethics matter a lot. Okay, if you can take up the many epics, like as I told you, that Ramayana, Mahabharata in Indian context, Iliad, Odyssey in European context, and many others in other contexts. Okay, so all of them talk about ultimately the importance of ethics by restoring peace upon the rebellion land. Okay. Now the next one in chapter 2 verse 47 in the Bhagavad Gita. These are just examples. Okay, you don't have to be worried about it. These are examples you can use. You can make use of it. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Okay. If you watch Mahabharata, well, I have the 5 to 6 GB data of Mahabharata of the old version serials. Okay, if somebody wants, then we can contact and I will try to give it through pen drive or some other ways. I have the full, episodes of all the serials in the first version of Mahabharata in Doordarshan, right? So you should watch the Mahabharata. Actually, the point is we are not modern. What Mahabharata is modern. Okay, Mahabharata is more modern than us. We have to be much more modern, then we will be able to understand Mahabharata. Everything is there in Mahabharata. What is not there in Mahabharata? Look at everything. Okay, look at the multiple characters. Look at the psychological changing nature of the character, the kind of war that is going on. The best politician ever in Indian ethical tradition is Krishna. Nobody like Krishna is the politician at all. Okay, Krishna is the first and best politician. Lord Krishna, I am talking about. Okay, who hatched the war of Mahabharata. Okay, and what else? Look at the transgender characters. Look at the sex change. Look at the different ways of childbirth, even through mythical, supernatural ways. But those mythical ways are being proved true in today's different mechanisms. Okay, so everything is there. Okay, so we have to be more modern than uh, we have to be more modern to understand the modernity of Mahabharata. So the more you will read, the more you will watch Mahabharata, you will get to know more. So that is what I wanted to convey this message. Okay, so the here the point is that you should work, but don't expect the result. Okay, and and what we do in our current life is just the opposite. that what would be the result, then I will start working, otherwise I will won't work. Okay, for just for example, sir, this is assignment, so you will give marks. So, okay, I will do the assignment. If you don't give marks, then what is the need of doing the work? Right. And what we do is just the opposite of what this verse says. uh, so if you see also, in one of the episode, Lord Krishna is giving a number of advices to Arjun in the battlefield, that I should not kill my family relatives, I should not kill my brothers. Then Lord Krishna convinced him to, by making him understand about the rights and wrongs, about dharma and adharma, and so many aspects of ethics, morality, and all. Okay, duty, of course. So these are the things, right? And they don't talk about the fruits of action, but ultimately they knew that this might lead to the restoration of peace upon Hastinapur, you know, in that particular context. Okay, so this is the important message of Gita, that the performer of the action has only to perform the prescribed duty. जो काम दिया गया है वो बस perform करो, फल की चिंता मत करो. Okay, not indulge in the result of the action. If the worker leaves the result of the work to the Lord, on the realization that the result is beyond his control, then he can be serene forever. He can be peaceful. Serene matlab peaceful, calm, cool. If you don't expect the result, then you will remain cool. And if you expect the result to be good, to be better, to be excellent, then you will have unending restlessness in your mind, because he is not worried of the result, whether it is good or bad. Okay, and if you are not worried about the result, whether it is good or bad or excellent or which grade, then it will not move you. It will not move your mind. So this is what ethics talks about, and these teachings of the Gita draws from one certain nishkam karma, okay, which doesn't expect the fruits of action, just the work itself. Okay, so these are the views that you should know. Okay, and now here we have completed the unit 1 of the syllabus. Yeah, I think this much. Yes. So if you have any doubt, tell me. I will try to simplify. Though this is not a simple unit, the first unit is fully loaded with many terms, definitions, meanings, concepts, theories, traditions. So that's why it is a very comprehensive and very good store of knowledge for business ethics. It will help us to understand other units also. Okay, so this much for today. If you have any doubts, you can tell me.